So here's the deal. This is the last capsule. This is series 8 out of 8, but this is certainly one of those ones I think everybody's going to have their eye on. And again, there's also some things that we need to talk about in this series that could swing the pendulum one way and one way only. This series is going to be like an onion. There's a lot of layers to it. We got to talk about all of it. So the Pacific 2, Edmonton Oilers 50, 23, and 9. Boy, did they get hot at the end of the year. 109 points versus the Pacific 3 LA Kings 47, 25, and 10 for 104 points. Head coaches are Jay Woodcroft versus Todd McLellan. The Edmonton Oilers, some of their capsules off the top of my head, the best version versus missing pieces again, and hot at the right time versus Kryptonite, Game 7. Stats on centerpieces. Got to talk about Connor McDavid. He's going to win the Hart Trophy. He played in all 82 games. Get ready for these. Make sure you're sitting down. 64 goals, 89 assists for 153 points, and a plus 22. Leon Draisaitl said not so fast. 80 games played, 52 goals, 76 assists, 128 points, plus 7. And even RNH, he hit the 100-point marker. The Edmonton Oilers have 3 players that have over 100 points. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, all 82, 37 goals, 67 assists for 104 points, and a plus 12. Zach Hyman, the University of Michigan man, 79 games played, 36 goals, 47 assists, 83 points, 36 goals for Zach Hyman as well. Offense is no problem for the Oilers. And I threw in Evander Kane. He played half the year, 41 games played, 16 goals, 12 assists, 28 points, minus 4, but he can be an X factor as far as doing a little bit of everything, having that grit and sandpaper that the Oilers can certainly use. And for the LA Kings, you know about these usual suspects. The captain, the long and steadied Anze Kopitar, all 82 games played, 28 goals, 46 assists, 74 points, plus 20. Still leads his team in points. Kevin Fiala, 69 games played, 23 goals, 49 assists, 72 points, plus 2. Adrian Kempe, one of my favorite players, and he's always really good in the postseason. All 82 games played, 41 goals, 26 assists, 67 points, plus 22. Viktor Arvidsson, 77 games played, 26 goals, 33 assists, 59 points, and minus 4. Phillip Danault has not had the same type of season on defense, but he can still be a good two-way player. He played in all 82 games, 18 goals, 36 assists, 54 points, minus 8. And Gabriel Vilardi, 63 games played, 23 goals, 18 assists, 41 points, and a plus 10. So when you have the stats on centerpieces, and you have 3 players in Connor McDavid, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Leon Draisaitl all over 100 points, that heavily swings one way and one way only to know that the Oilers have the best offense in the entire league. The LA Kings, though, not to be outdone, especially over the last couple of years, they've kind of transitioned into the sense of, in the mold of, we're still a great defensive team, but we're also a team that can put goals in the back of the net. Look, nobody on earth is going to be able to match that same output that the Edmonton Oilers can. It's not possible. But if the LA Kings can still get about 3.5, they're going to put themselves in a good portion of the series. Well, they'll give themselves a chance. Here is where the numbers get even more crazy. So premium defense, Darnell Nurse, the brother of Sarah Nurse on that side, very good for Team Canada, all 82 games played. 12 goals, 31 assists, 43 points, plus 26 for Darnell Nurse. Those numbers have gotten a lot better on the back-end defense. And Evan Bouchard, he's getting some top-end time now with the trades. Again, they moved on from Tyson Barrie. 82 games played, 8 goals, 32 assists, 40 points, plus 6. But here's the one that we talk about. You trade Tyson Barrie and Crazy Ken Holland. This is one of his great trades. Again, when he ruined the Red Wings, and I got all bitter about that, and I always talk about him going to the Edmonton Oilers and leaving to go to the 2 best players in the world in Draisaitl and McDavid. Well, he made a great trade this time, and I give him full marks. Mattias Ekholm, the pickup from the Nashville Predators. 21 games played since joining from the Preds to the Oil Kings. How about this? 4 goals, 10 assists, 14 points, which would be great enough. He's a plus 28 in 21 games. That is almost impossible. I had to look at that and do a triple take even with the 4 eyes, and I said, what? And that's what I put in the notes, but it's true. Plus 28 since joining the Oilers. He was even nothing before joining. Drew Doughty on the other end, he's always been stable. He's still there. 81 games played, 9 goals, 43 assists, 52 points, plus 12. Sean Durzi, you got some young defense like we always talk about between Durzi, Roy, Mikey, Anderson. But for Durzi, 72 games played, 9 goals, 29 assists, 38 points, minus 12. Matt Roy, all 82. 9, 17, 26 for a plus 8. Mikey Anderson, 77 games played, 5, 15, and 20 for a plus 20. The defense is still really good. Look, I understand those numbers and everything else. When you talk about the Mattias Ekholm move, there is no doubt in my mind it's been transformative. And it's been a situation where the Oilers were kind of hovering in the same spot that the Calgary Flames were. Were they in between WC1, WC2? Were they going to make the playoffs, or just kind of hedging their bets between January and February? And then all of a sudden, again, I can't snap my fingers like Cooper Hopkins can, but you flip that switch, you get Mattias Ekholm, and this has just been a transformative side. And I'm not discrediting anything that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has done, or even Zach Hyman on that end, because when we talked about it last year, and I made this mark, that Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl can't be the only guys that are at 100 points and the only ones getting the job done to be able to carry the offense, because it's just not going to be enough. And they were able to dispatch an injured Kings team in 7 games despite all of that. And then they went on to the Western Conference Finals after they won the Battle of Alberta and got absolutely waxed by the Avalanche, because it wasn't going to be enough just for 2 players. Well, now you got 4, and now you also have better defense in Darnell Nurse. You got the addition of Mattias Ekholm again. 21 games since the trade, 4, 10, and 14 were plus 28. Plus 28 all with one team. So that's gotten a lot better. And this could be a team that is poised to make a deep run. Again, certainly the goal for the Oilers and the goal to try to make sure Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl stays is winning Lord Stanley. That goes without saying. But they've got to be able to get back to at least the Western Conference Finals again before they can make that push to get into the Cup final and face whoever they're going to face. And again, there's going to be a lot of questions as we talked about when we did our East Capsules yesterday as who is going to be their opponent if they can get that far. Goaltending. This is a situation where the Oilers did not get any better, and the Los Angeles Kings addressed some of their needs. The GM Rob Blake did. So let's start with the Oilers first. Stuart Skinner. He is your front runner because he had to be. Campbell Soup didn't do the job this year, and that 5/25 doesn't look all that great. But for Stuart Skinner, 50 games played, 29, 14, and 5. He got the back end fan vote as far as goaltending. 275 goals against, not too bad. 913 save percentage. Nothing outstanding, but not too bad on that end for Stuart Skinner. And for Jack Campbell, simply just not good enough. 21, 9, and 4 record for a 341 goals against, 888 save percentage. That's not going to get the job done. They brought him to be in maybe the 1A, 1B challenge situation. Warriors clearly number 2 on that end. He's going to be the backup. Jonas Korpisalo, and I included all of his numbers alongside the Columbus Blue Jackets on that end. 18, 14, and 4 for 287, 914 save percentage. And Phoenix Copley, 37 games played, 24, 6, and 3 for a 264 goals against, 903 save percentage. And he does have a couple of shutouts mixed in. So, look, I understand those numbers don't sound too great on any of these goaltenders, but the Edmonton Oilers did not do anything to address that situation. They tried to bring in Jack Campbell. He's going to be nothing more than backup. When you're in a situation where the Oilers are, you just want to make sure that you outscore your opponent to be able to win. You're going to feel some 1980s, early 1990s hockey. If you can score 5 and win, that's the way that you're going to get it done. But that is what I always say about the Oilers, and I said it last year. That is not how you win games in the playoffs. You've got to be able to lock down. Ken Allen gets full marks for Mattias Ekholm. That's transformed this team. That's maybe even made them a better defensive team and a better offensive team. But if your goaltending is still giving up 4 or 5 a game, you're going to be in trouble on that end. So Stuart Skinner or Jack Campbell, somebody's going to be able to batten down the hatches and get it done. Jonas Korpisalo, his numbers largely with the Columbus Blue Jackets, not a very good team on the back end. The LA Kings are a really good back end defense. I think he's going to be the number 1. Despite Phoenix Copley, again, when you had Kel Peterson on that end, you had Jonathan Quick. Look, I understand Jonathan Quick was very upset about the way things ended in the LA Kings, but the reason it ended the way it did is because he didn't do his job on the back end of it. He was able to get moved on. Vegas was able to get the back end that they needed because they were having 5 goaltenders that were injured. But Phoenix Copley, I thought he should have been the one. He got my vote in as far as the top goalie in the Pacific, because when he had those numbers, again, nothing outstanding, he was the one that still brought into the keep to the point where it wasn't a sinking Titanic ship for the LA Kings on the back end of their goaltending. Phoenix Copley did the damn job. Now you bring in Jonas Korpisalo. We talked about those games, and I always talk about it several years ago against the Tampa Bay Lightning when he had an 80-something save performance. He's that guy, and he could be somebody in the postseason that can get the job done. So the goaltending match should be in favor of the LA Kings, but you still have to get in through that back end of the offense. But Rob Blake addressed the needed portion of it, which is the back end goaltending. The defense is still good, and they can still continue to score more goals. But here is the underlying modicum that I have to play maybe the short violin. If you're the Kings fan, they don't care about that. They deal with the injuries. And the Oilers fans, you deal with the injuries and you just move on with it. But if you're the Oilers, you play the long stream violin as far as you're being happy as far as some of these injuries. Because with Kevin Fiala, as we talked about, I mentioned in the open, 69 games played, 23 goals, 49 assists, 32 points. And on the other end for Gabe Vilardi, 63 games played, 23 goals, 18 assists, 41 points. That is a combined, let me make sure that I get my math correct, 59 goals that are taken out of the lineup in between Fiala and Vilardi. And the reason why Fiala didn't end up at the top is because he missed too much time. So if Kevin Fiala and Gabe Vilardi are going to miss 2 games or more in this series, and I at least put that at the beginning onset. It's got to be 2 games or more. If it's just 1 game, they'll be fine. If it's 2 games or more, then the LA Kings can be in serious trouble, because that's not production of 59 goals combined between the 2 players that you can essentially make up. And the reason why the LA Kings, again, I put this in a long-standing monicum last year, and I preached this. When they didn't have Viktor Arvidsson, Drew Doughty last year, and they still pushed the Edmonton Oilers, granted they're a better team the Oilers were than they were last year, still pushed them to 7 games. That said a lot about the LA Kings, and now they're going to have to do without the services of Kevin Fiala and Gabe Vilardi. That, again, will put you in a situation where the Oilers should be considered the favorite to at least win this series. But let's go into these numbers a little bit more. Just keep in mind that the Kings could be without multiple games, 2 guys that have a combined 59 goals in Fiala and Vilardi. But the power play numbers, this is historic, number 1 all time in the NHL. 32.4%. 32.4%. If you have 25%, you have a good power play. 32% that's not even beyond elite. That's black box historic numbers. That's something that makes your head explode on the back end with the Tim and Eric awesome show on that end. That's nuts. So 32.4%, which is 6 higher than Toronto, and then 25.3% for the LA Kings, which is 4th. So both power plays are exceptional, but the Edmonton Oilers are of a historic level. So when you think about the Oilers penalty kill, 77%, which is 20th for the Oilers, 24th, 75.8%. So this is a situation that leads me to believe of this. For as good as the LA Kings can be on defense, they're not a very good penalty killing team. But neither are the Oilers, and the Oilers are one of these teams that can also provide a lot of those goals. So if either one of these teams allow either one of them to get on the power play, this could put a situation where, again, just like we saw last year, we could see a lot of 5-4, 6-5 type of games where a lot of goals can be scored. Again, I understand how hard it is to deal when you don't have Fiala and Vilardi, but still, with the way that these power plays can put goals in the back of the net, this could be pretty interesting. 3.96 goals for the Oilers, as you imagine that would be first. They're almost at 4 goals a game. And 3.34 for the LA Kings when they're usually around a 25th marker. They're 10th at 3.34. They're very good. Goals against, both of these teams are about the same, 3.12 for 17th. And again, the Oilers were more toward a 25-26 percentile as far as teams out of 32 and their goals against. It's moved up that much over the last month and a half ever since they've acquired Mattias Ekholm. And I mean that wholeheartedly. This wasn't a team that's going to be very good defensively. They're just going to outscore you. And on the other end for the LA Kings at 3.10 for 16th, so 17th and 16th respectively. So my thoughts before we get into the predictions. Edmonton has been on an absolute tear since getting Ekholm, as we said at the deadline. I normally don't read into the regular season numbers all that much, but when it comes to compiling goals, and be able to get results that can speak to a 6-3, 7-2 consistently, that is a buzzsaw that Edmonton can provide that you absolutely can't deny. But we saw what happened against a team like that. Again, now we're adding Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with 100-something points. We're also getting Zach Hyman with the high 80s mark. It's not just McDavid and Draisaitl now, but we saw what happened against the Edmonton Oilers against Colorado when they got absolutely destroyed on that end with a 4-0. Again, I understand what Colorado can bring, but we've seen what it was. If that provides itself into the same situation where it's only McDavid and Draisaitl again, well, Edmonton's going to find themselves where they won't get to the Stanley Cup. They can get far, but they won't get all the way just through two players. But I'm very concerned on the back end of it as far as my predictions. If Kevin Fiala and Gabe Vilardi miss more than 2 games, not only am I concerned, this swings the pendulum in the series where it's going to be in the favor of the Oilers, and I have to go that way. Here's a portion that you may not know throughout this series, as we talked about. For the Oilers being able to get about 4 goals per game, being at 3.96 officially, and being far and away the premium of the league when it comes to offense, the LA Kings have absolutely excelled against the Pacific Division opponent. They're taking an offense that averages 3.96, and in their 4 games that they played, getting the Oilers between a 210 to 230 range. That is almost a 2-goal difference. And this is the Edmonton Oilers that we're talking about. So they certainly have the numbers, whether it is, transitioning to different zone entries, trying to play some of the defensive coverages, whether between mixing the physicality, mixing the trap. They've certainly had all the different wrenches that they can throw into the Oilers offense that has caused them to do more than just sputter. They cause them to kind of shut them down as much as you can shut down a team like McDavid and Draisaitl and RNH. If they can do that, if they can take the 3.96 goals for, I should say, for the Oilers and get that to a 210, 230 range, if they can do that and still score without losing some of their pieces, just like they lost Arvidsson and Doughty last year, this is going to be a series. If they can do that without having the services of a Gabe Vilardi, without having the services of a Kevin Fiala for a couple games or more, then this is going to be a series. But who wins this series, and give reasons for both? If the Edmonton Oilers continue to do what they do, they score at a 4 or above in goals for, Mattias Ekholm continues to be transformative, and they can limit it enough where they can win some of these games 6-3, 6-4. I would have no doubt that the Oilers can win this in 6. I would at least say it goes 6 because I credit the LA Kings defense that much. I believe in everything that Todd McLellan is going to throw at it, and the rebuild on the fly has been absolutely supreme for the LA Kings. You thought that there would be a lot more of a recovery time in the postseason? No. They got that done immediately. I believe in it enough, if they have to deal with some injuries on that end, that the Edmonton Oilers can win it in 6. But I'm going to throw it to you like this. If Fiala and Vilardi only miss 1 game, at worst 2, and they can still shut down the Edmonton Oilers enough, in the sense of, again, the 3.96 to a 210, 230, if they can score, if they can continue to shut down, if Jonas Korpisalo can play well in front like they brought him into, the LA Kings not only have a chance in this series, they can beat the Edmonton Oilers bar none. Last year, I took the Kings to win in 7. It was the Oilers in 7, and this was without Arvidsson and Doughty. Now it's going to be without Fiala and Vilardi. That's going to be a whole hell of a lot more difficult. But if the Kings can get away with all this stuff, if they continue to shut things down, if they have that elixir to be able to guard against the Oilers' offense enough, they can win this series. So this is where I'll have to make the coin flip. If Vilardi and Fiala miss more than 2 games in this series, I will take the Oilers in 6. If it's less than 2 and the Kings still show me that same moniker, I will take the Kings in 7 again. I think they have what it takes to be able to get it done against Edmonton. I know the fans might attack me for that side, but I still think this Kings team is very good. And even with all of the offensive consistencies that have even bloomed more with RNH and Hyman, still the same team. It's got to be Mattias Ekholm locking things down in the back end, because with Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell, I still have questions as far as what the goaltending can bring. So it ultimately depends. Health is going to be a major factor. So again, I'll throw it to you like this, and I have to throw the caveat. This will be the only time I do so in the series. If Fiala and Vilardi miss more than 2 games, it's going to be too much for the Kings to overcome. I'll say the Oilers win in 6. If it's 2 games or less, and the Kings can still do what they need to do, I'm going to take the Kings in 7, and I will lean toward the Kings in 7, assuming if health isn't that much of a factor that goes against the Kings. I'm still not going to change my pick. Series opener, it'll be the late game on Monday. It'll be 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. I'd like to thank everyone that's followed along as far as all of these capsules. It's been a whole hell of a lot of fun. Join me and Alec Nava tomorrow when we cover Game 1 of the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild. I will see you tomorrow for official playoff coverage, but this has been all the capsules. As always, let me know your comments, questions, and concerns, and let me know what you pick. I'll be interested to know what it is. Let me know what you think. Who's going to go and take it? Who's going to get to the Stanley Cup Finals? Leave those questions, comments, and concerns down below, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.